here's what we're going to be doing. And we're adjusting it slightly because I have this recipe here, and it calls for yeast, of course, because we're making challah. But I couldn't find regular yeast right now. A lot of things we're not able to find. And hi, let's see if I can hear you. You're connecting to audio. Okay. Let's see if, can I hear you? Nope. Okay. So I was just saying that I am having trouble finding the right kind of yeast. So I have this instant yeast, which I've never used before. So it's going to be an experiment. You don't have to put it in water first. So I'm going to read the directions as if you have regular yeast, but I'm going to show you how I'm doing it with instant yeast at the same time. So here are my ingredients, and I'm going to put all the ingredients are posted on our website already under the Cook Arts page. But I'll put the full recipe up there as well. For now, this is what you are going to need. So 1 1/4 cups of lukewarm water. You need 2 1/2 teaspoons of active dry yeast, a packet. You need, and I've already measured all of mine out, 6 tablespoons of sugar.
Can you hear me?
You need a fourth of a cup of oil, neutral flavored. I think this is vegetable oil it's what I had in my house. I've got 4 1/2 cups, 4 to 4 1/2 cups, right, of all-purpose flour. I've got 2 teaspoons of salt right here, and kosher salt or pink Himalayan, it says. And then for the glaze, I have 1 1/2 teaspoons of pure maple syrup right here. And then I also have 1 1/2 teaspoons of soy milk, or you can use another non-dairy milk substitute. The reason, and I should backtrack a little bit, the reason that I'm doing dairy and egg-free challah, not only can it's parve, so you can have it with meat. We choose not to keep a kosher home, so that's sort of a non-issue for us, but I have a child who is very allergic to dairy and eggs. So I try not to make anything that he can't have too. So dairy-free and egg-free. You can always replace this with milk if you would like this to be dairy, or if that's all you have and you're not going to eat it with meat or whatever. So so I'm working with what I have. So you're going to place the warm water, so that 1 1/4 cups of lukewarm water. If you have regular yeast, you're going to do this. If you have instant yeast like I do, you don't need to do this. So for regular yeast, you're going to take the 1 1/4 cups of lukewarm water, not too hot because it'll kill the yeast, right? And you're going to put it in a large bowl or a stand mixer. So you can either use a hand mixer for this or a stand mixer, either one. I'm using a hand mixer. I'm actually at the MJCC today. I'm working at the front desk, although right now I'm in the Early Childhood Center kitchen. We have everything here, don't we? So I'm using a hand mixer today. And you're going to add a pinch. So you're placing the warm water in the bowl or a stand mixer. Add a pinch of the sugar to the bowl and sprinkle it with the yeast, okay? And then you're gonna set aside in a warm place for 5 to 10 minutes until the mixture is foamy. You're activating your yeast, you're waking it up right here. If your yeast doesn't proof properly, you're gonna throw it away and you're gonna start again with fresh yeast, because it means your yeast was too old or got too hot or too wet beforehand, or too something. Yeast can be a little finicky. So if it doesn't get bubbly and foamy, it's not working after 5 to 10 minutes. It's not working and you have to start over, or your bread's not gonna rise. Another thing I'm doing right now is you have to type it, Cindy. I can't hear you. So if you have a question, type it. Thank you. And I'll take a look. So rule of thumb when you're cooking, I always learn this because I come from a cooking family, is never make a recipe for the first time when you're making it for people or when you're making it for a party. Always make it beforehand so you can test it out. Well, I'm breaking that rule today because I wanted to make it earlier in the week and I couldn't find the time. Who has the time right now? So we're making it for the first time right now, and I don't even have the right yeast, so I'm making it with instant yeast. So Cindy says, please show your foamy yeast. So I don't have foamy yeast right now because I have instant yeast. So the instant yeast, you don't need to proof it. You don't have to do it with the warm water and the sugar and sprinkling it on top and setting it aside and letting it get foamy. because this is all they had at the store. So this you just mix right in with your dry ingredients. So that's what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna put the recipe up for the regular so that you can see it, but it's not gonna work with this because this unfortunately we're working with what we have, and this is what I was able to get for this. So hopefully this works. Fingers are crossed. Okay, so then what you're gonna do with a hand whisk or the mixer's whisk attachment. I have my hand mixer here. I brought the wrong attachment, of course. I don't have my whisk attachment. I have my beater attachment and I have my dough hook attachments. I think this will be fine. I'm not too concerned about that. You're gonna mix in the sugar, oil, 2 cups of flour, and salt. So let's do that. I've got my mixing bowl here. Okay, this is all from the Early Childhood Center. Okay, mixing bowl. I'm gonna put in my sugar, and I already have all of mine look, this is like a very bootleg version of a cooking show. Look, it's in a Tupperware. I'm gonna mix in my sugar in the bowl. Now I added a little bit more oil to my mason jar so that I could really oil the sides of the bowl when it's time to let the dough rise. So I'm gonna mix in most of my oil here, but just know that I added in a little extra so that I could oil the bowl so it wouldn't stick to it when it comes time for that. Okay, so sugar, oil, saving a little tad bit, 2 cups of flour and salt. So here's my salt. I used kosher salt because I had that on hand. I also had pink Himalayan, but for this kind of a thing, I don't know, I guess either is fine, but I'm using kosher salt. Putting the sugar, the salt, the oil, putting it all in the bowl. It's really nice that it's pre-measured. Maybe I should do this more often when I'm cooking, is pre-measure everything like they do on the cooking show. And this is also pre-measured to, gotta clean my computer after this, to 4.5 cups. So right now, I'm just gonna guesstimate because it's pre-measured and also I don't have a measuring cup. So I know it's gonna be a little less than half, pretty much half. Putting that in. And since I have the instant yeast, fingers are crossed, here we go. I'm gonna sprinkle this right on top of the flour. Here we go. Some of you might be watching this and thinking you're doing it wrong, and please tell me if I am, because I want to know. I really am a good cook and a good baker normally, but I've never done this with this, so we'll see. Okay, so now I've got my flour, I've got my salt, I've got my yeast. Well, not your yeast. If you're using the regular yeast and it's foaming, don't do anything with it yet. Sugar, and I'm gonna mix it all together. Okay. Here it is. Let's find the plug right here. That out of the way. Okay. Turning it on, and there we go. And then, as I'm mixing this, it says switch to a sturdy wooden spoon or the mixer's dough hook, and then add in the remaining flour 1 cup at a time. So the rest of the flour, after you mix all this together, you can switch to a dough hook, or you can switch to a sturdy wooden spoon, and you're gonna add in the rest of the flour slowly. Okay, so mine's getting all mixy. It's really dry, by the way. This feels like a very dry mixture. Oh, I know what I'm gonna have to do. Because I didn't do the 1 1/4 cups of water with the yeast, that's gonna not add the liquid that it needs. So I'm gonna have to add in, yep. I'm gonna have to add in some water to mine in a little bit. So I'm gonna add a little bit of water into mine because I'm having to shift the recipe. Just a minute, let me get a cup right here. Okay, and you know what, we're guesstimating because I know what the consistency is supposed to be. So I'm gonna pour in some water This is no more than 1 1/4 cups right here. It's a little less. And I'm gonna start whisking it in. And then, there we go. Then I'm gonna start adding the rest of the flour slowly. Now this is gonna need to take time to rise, so we're not gonna be able to bake it start to finish. If this were like a real cooking show, they'd already have a finished one in the oven. They could pull out and say, "Ta-da, look how beautiful this is." This is not a professional cooking show, but you know that already. Okay, so I'm gonna turn that off. This is getting really sticky. I'll show you. It's like very thick, very thick. So I'm gonna release these beaters. I'll probably, I'm guessing, need to add in a little more water. And I'm gonna feed in very slowly the 2 cups of flour, or the remainder of the flour, a cup at a time. So just in 2 parts essentially. So let me get my dough hooks. They're right here. I've got these dough hook attachments. This is a Cuisinart hand mixer I got when I got married. All the awesome things you get when you get married. And then you need them again like 7 years later. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start pouring in some of this flour. And I've got the dough hooks. I can already tell the dough hooks are making a big difference. It's not getting as stuck, and it's not incorporating quite as much air into the dough. I can tell a big difference since I switched the attachment. So starting off with a whisk, I used a beater because that's what I had, and we're making do with what we have, aren't we? I don't know if you guys have made anything interesting during this time with what you've had in the pantry or the fridge or the freezer. I can tell you there have certainly been some interesting meals in my house. It's a good thing, like I feel like I'm a pretty good cook, so I feel like I can kind of handle it when I'm trying to pull things together. I'm gonna add a little bit more water because I can tell this is a bit dry and I have quite a bit of flour to go. So what I'm gonna do is add in a little more water because I can tell it's still not incorporating all the flour quite right. And I hope this works because we're just making do with what we have. I have some of the water reserved in a cup next to me. And now it's good. Incorporating it all in together. This dough is going to be pretty sticky. And it says that in the recipe. It says that the dough is going to be sticky. So what I have found, because I do a lot of baking with no eggs, which in the beginning, can I show the dough? Yes, I can show the dough. So here is what it looks like right now. And I don't have all of the flour mixed in, so I'm gonna show you again. I'm gonna sprinkle the rest of the flour in. I might have to add some more water. So as I'm mixing this together, you can see incorporating some of the flour, moving this all around. It says you can also do this with a sturdy wooden spoon. But if you have a hand mixer or a stand mixer, why? I don't know, unless that's like your exercise for the day, because this dough is sticky and heavy. This would be a workout. Feels like a workout even with this hand mixer. I'm gonna here we go. Let's add some more water. Just a little bit. Just a little bit, because it was very thick, and not all of I could tell because the flour was like already dough and sticky and thick and heavy and dense, but not all the flour was mixed in yet. So it definitely needed more water. And as I was saying earlier, I just realized as this was going that I was gonna need more liquid than I had, because I didn't need to mix the yeast with water, and that would have added 1 1/4 cups of liquid to this that I didn't have. So I'm gonna show you this. I'm gonna mix it a little more and I'm gonna show you. This looks good. Very thick. I'm not gonna mix it too much. I'm gonna stop. And you can see it's like you could pull it, okay? Right? It's thick. It's stuck. It's not glopping off. It's sticky. Okay, it is very sticky. So again, the recipe said that it should be. I'm gonna go ahead and release those dough hook attachments. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the dough out onto a lightly floured work surface with clean floured hands. So I've already washed my hands, of course, probably 30 times today already. Anybody else? And so turn the dough out onto a lightly floured work surface with clean floured hands. Okay, so I've already done that. We've already got our work surface floured. So I'm prepared. This is a cooking show, right? I'm turning this around so I can face a different direction now. I've got my recipe. And it says, until a shaggy dough forms. What does that mean? What is shaggy dough? That seems like a weird description for dough. Have you ever heard that? Until a shaggy dough forms? I don't know. Where do we find these things? Okay. If the dough is very wet or sticky, add it. If not, okay, so good. The dough is sticky, but it's not wet. Okay, here's my dough. It's sticky, yes. Wet, no. Okay. And turn it onto a lightly floured surface with clean floured hands. Knead the dough and until it is smooth and elastic. So it's a little sticky. I'm going to get a little more flour on here. It is sticky until it's smooth and elastic. I'm doing this like I would do clay. I don't know if you ever kneaded clay before. Very sticky. Okay, here we go. Definitely, look. Smooth and elastic, okay? My hands are a mess right now. Smooth and elastic. More flour would have been helpful here. Too little, too late. Okay, I'm gonna put that back in the bowl just to sit for a second so I can clean my hands if I need to. You might need to do this for about 5 to 10 minutes. I think the fact that I had instant yeast changed the composition of the dough just a bit, and I hope it still works. It says allow the dough to rest for a few minutes while you clean and dry the large mixing bowl. So hang tight. I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm gonna wash out this bowl, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here we go, guys. Not gone long. Actually, just got another mixing bowl so that I didn't have to wait that long to do the dishes while you guys were here. So in reality, I would probably be needing that a little bit longer. I'm doing this a little bit sped up with you guys. So it says, yeah, so knead the dough until it's smooth and elastic, about 5 to 10 minutes. Allow the dough to rest for a few minutes while you clean and dry the large mixing bowl. So you're gonna need it again. Grease the inside of the bowl with a bit of oil. So this is where you say, I saved that little bit of oil. I've got it right here in this jar. And I'm gonna grease the inside of this bowl. And then I'm gonna place the dough inside this bowl. I'm using a towel. My dad taught me this trick. My dad or my grandmother, somebody, and we do it with butter, you know, to grease. Do y'all do that? You take a paper towel and you wrap it around the butter to grease something like that. I don't know. So I'm doing it with the oil so my hands don't get all oily right now and I'm touching the computer. So there we go. The inside of the bowl is greased with the oil, and then I'm gonna put the challah dough back in the bowl. Okay? Challah dough. Got these hooks back in the dough, and then I'm going to turn the dough to coat it with the oil. It'll come out of here very sticky. Okay. Turning the dough in the bowl. Okay. So I've got my dough in my bowl. Turning it around in the bowl to coat it all with oil. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover this bowl with a damp towel, all right? And I'm going to, or you can cover it, so a damp tea towel or plastic wrap. And I'm gonna set it aside in a warm place until the dough has risen at least double, okay? So we're gonna let the dough rise at least double in bulk, about an hour to 45 minutes. Now I'm not gonna sit here this whole time. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna let your dough rise 1 hour to 45 minutes, covered, you know, the top of your bowl with plastic wrap or a damp tea towel. And then after that hour or 45 minutes, it has to double in size. You're gonna punch it back down with your hands, punch, 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 punch the dough down, and then lightly grease 1 or 2 baking sheets or line them with parchment paper, and then shape or braid the dough as you'd like for your challah, 3 braids, 6 braids, whatever. And then you're going to, your oven's at 350 degrees. You're gonna place the shaped challah on the baking sheet and cover with a clean, dry tea towel. So again, you have to let it rise again, double rise, okay? Allow it to rise until doubled again, about 45 minutes to an hour. So there are 2 rising times. This is why we're doing this on a Thursday and not on a Friday, okay? There are 2 rising times. Then you're gonna cook it in an oven at 350. While the oven's heating, you're gonna make your maple wash by whisking together your maple syrup and soy milk or dairy, non-dairy alternative that you have. And you're gonna baste it, you're gonna brush it with a basting brush all over the challah with a pastry brush. Bake the challah until the crust is a deep golden brown and the loaf sounds hollow when tapped. I never heard that trick, but it makes sense if you think about challah and the crust. About 30 to 35 minutes for a large challah, or 20 to 25 minutes for a medium challah, 15 to 20 minutes for rolls. You're gonna cool it on a wire rack. Now I'm gonna place all these instructions on the website. Thanks for joining me for the start of the bread, and I'm gonna post pictures. I hope this works because I had to change up the yeast. Oh, let's see, Cindy, did you send me something else? Let's see, can I put the camera on the dough, on the bowl? Oh, do you use wax paper when you, Cindy, do you use wax paper instead of parchment paper when you bake? You're frozen, I can't see you. Because I never used your chatting. I never use wax paper, I only use parchment paper. How many challah parchment? I don't understand the question, let's see. How many challah parchment? How many challah will it make? Is that what we're saying? This recipe says that it will make 12, if you're making rolls, it'll make, oh, hey, Janice, that it will make, oh, Janice Keel, got it. You use wax paper, Janice Keel. Okay, I see. I always thought that would catch on fire. Anyway, this makes 12 rolls if you're making rolls. I assume it makes 1 large challah or maybe a couple small ones. Let's report back because again, this is just the beginning because we can't stay on here for like 3 hours doing this. But if you make it, post your pictures on the Cultural Arts page on Facebook. I want to see them. Good luck. Shabbat Shalom. It's Thursday, but early Shabbat Shalom to everybody. And I'll see you guys soon. Send me an email or a chat or something if you have any questions. Bye, everybody.